Brunswick, Georgia.
That's right.
Good evening, good evening.
Hello, everyone.
Brunswick, GA.
That's right.
Hope you guys are having a great start of your week.
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar, good evening.
Brunswick, Georgia.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Brunswick, GA.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello. Good
That's
evening.
right.
Hope you guys are having a great start of your week.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Dunbar, I wanted to just compliment you on the training you did a couple of weeks ago in regards to the steps of the relationships. I've got that, go over that, and it's very, very powerful and helpful. So I wanted to say thank you.
Oh, appreciate that. You got it. Absolutely. Anytime, anytime. Glad you were able to make use of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can go over it in Gary in Ontario. So just want to say thank you.
Good. That's good. That's excellent. Excellent. All right, guys, gonna get started. I'm just trying to make sure I got my trainers in here because I know some of them was having a hard time getting in. So let me.
Oh, it look like you're gonna hold it down all by yourself today. You know you can handle it.
I can do this call in the dark, up on my head, upside down.
Wait a minute, in your sleep.
Yeah. We can all do that. Yeah, it's been a long time we've been doing this thing here. You know, we all love CDLP. I know Sharonda's on now. I know Sharanda she was being celebrated on the LOJ event. So I knew she was coming on a little bit late. So she is on now. So y'all can give her a quick congratulations. I know it's got something to do with her being on leaderboard. I'm not a lady of justice, so I don't know what was happening at the event, but I know she got celebrated for something. So before we get started, if y'all can just unmute yourself and just congratulate Sharanda Ivy. She's on. So
Congratulations,
Congratulations,
Mrs.
Sharanda.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Sharanda.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Sharanda.
hello, Brown.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, looking lovely.
I love it. I love it.
It's a tear.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. Go ahead, girl.
You know that's the LOJ where you have to wear your tiara, Dunbar. You have to wear your tiara. They do
That's
all
beautiful.
that.
Good.
Beautiful,
So,
beautiful.
we don't got no men of justice. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening on the side.
You funny.
Oh boy.
I got on there for Teresa Johnson. You know, she vice president or something of LOJ. So I plugged in her mastermind. So she was like, Sharona, you gotta be on. So I was like, okay. You funny.
All right, so we are live on YouTube. We are good here. I'm gonna go ahead and open up so you can go ahead and get started with your introduction, Sharanda, and I'll check and see if John is here somewhere in the crowd. And if not, I'll go after you.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Sharanda Ivy out of Byron, Georgia. For those that don't know, I've been with Legal Shield now. This is our 9th year. I'm so excited of convention week, getting ready to see a lot of you in convention. And we 50K ring earners. We've earned the production award for over 1,000 apps. I think we're probably about at 1,500 now. We earned the Ladies of Justice Field Trainer of the Year back in 2019. And we are Emerald Elite on the solution side. And just chose this as my major and my minor here in the CDLP space, leading with small business, one of the top small biz producers for the company as well. But just making my focus here in this industry. Really just get up every day. I remember Lamar used to say that all the time, how he got up every day to protect commercial drivers. And so that's what I tend to have began to do. And I'm just so excited about just the opportunity that Legal Shield has allowed me. We've really expanded our services, and just so amazed to work with a lot of you guys. And I don't take that lightly. I really appreciate you guys for, working with me. I do host the accountability call on Thursday nights, more of a mastermind, helping those individuals, hit their goals. And a lot of them are having great success. And that's what we're here for, definitely to help and support. I am the CDLP state trainer for Georgia. I am, and all of us trainers, state trainers or field trainers as well. So I'm a solutions trainer. I just tend to make my focus here in the CDLP space. So with that, if we can help you, you can just definitely tap in, look to serve as we always do. And like I say, hope to see you guys in OKC. Definitely, if you see me, make sure you come hang out. We'll be out and about in the Omni. And so we look to see you guys. Dunbar will be there too, so look for him. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there so he'll be high, but he'll be there too. So just look us up. Love to hang out with you guys. So over to you, Dunbar.
That's how you gonna do me?
Yep.
Because I do be hiding at them.
Yeah, he'll be there.
I'll be going in and out of corridors.
He'll be there. So
absolutely. So congratulations, thank you. Congratulations, Sharanda, and thank you everybody for being on. Of course, just another week of talking about what we can do here in the CDLP space. I am Robert Dunbar, been with the company for 13 years. I've been a trainer for, I always lose track. I don't know, I guess 7 years maybe. In general with Legal Shield, been training on the solution side for maybe about 6 years. And CDLP trainer for about 4 or 5 years. And it's been great for me to work with you all, especially when we were going out to the marketplaces and training people in person. It was really just fun getting out there and talking to everybody, hanging out. And that's why I built a lot of relationships traveling everywhere. I mean, I believe for 2.5 to 3 years, I went to a different city every week. Every weekend training CDL. So that's why I met most of you all in person, was at those different events. So it's definitely been great working with you all, assisting you all. I'm a 100K ringer. I've got 2 50K ringers on my team. And I've worked every area of Legal Shield. I have done the insurance side. I've done the networking side. I've done the business solution side. I've done regular group. I've done CDL group. Most of the group things I do now, I kind of just do a 50% commission split with somebody else, and they pretty much work the groups, and that's just kind of where it's at. And that's what business is meant to do. It's meant for you to start it, rev it up, get it moving, and then back off a little bit if you feel like that's not what you want to be doing full time anymore. So in my old age of 46, I decided I didn't want to be going out every single day doing this stuff. So I don't anymore, but I'm still in the field of sales. I still do make some calls and do some things in this space. So that's really what it's about for me. That's what it's about for me. So what are we going to be talking about today? I didn't want to be as structured today. I know you guys want, conference is coming and yada, 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 yada. So I wanted to be a little bit lighter today and not give you guys like this whole PDF and here, here's 5 steps to and 10 reasons why and all that stuff. But we do want to answer a couple of questions, and we will take some questions out the crowd today, but I'm going to be asking a few questions to Sharon. I would have asked them to any of the trainers who got on. We would have just kind of bounced a couple of things back and forth, but it looks like it's just Sharon and myself today. So it's what happens when, right? What happens when, because we're out in the field, and it's so hard because I train on a daily basis, not just on the CDLP space, but just in other things when it comes to sales and business sales and all those kind of things. And it's being theoretical is one thing, being functional is another thing, being practical is something else. And when you get out in the field, the biggest challenge that you run into with sales training is that somebody sits in the classroom and tells you, this is what you say, when you go and talk to a company, a person, or whoever, a decision maker, whatever you've got going on, and then somebody actually says something back to you. And when they say something back, if you don't know what to say from there, then you're kind of stuck. Now, I'm a very unscripted person, so I do not use scripts myself personally, but I do know that they're very valuable to understand them and kind of put your own personality in them. So for those who use scripts, it's sometimes very difficult when you're scripted and then somebody says something back that you're not prepared for. So the question is like, what do you say when, right? What do you say when? So we're going to throw a couple of things out there. And if you guys can, I would say throw it in the chat, but it's not enough trainers on here to keep up with that right now because it's just random myself. So, because I believe Sharon is in the LOJ event right now. So what I want to do is just raise your hand with the question so that we can call on you. That way we don't miss your question. Because I noticed in the chats afterwards, when I go back and look, a lot of times we'll miss stuff because it just goes down and we don't get a chance to see it. So if you just raise your hand, if you don't know how to raise your hand, cut your camera on and physically raise your hand so we can see you. And we'll try to call on you to answer that question. But I'm going to start. I'm going to pitch a question what do you do when to Sharanda first, just to get everything started off. And I'm going to use a question that was on the page today because I try to use things that I know people are having issues with in the field. And I know some of this we've covered before. So if you've been with us since, day one, I think this is like year 4 of us training on Mondays, just bear with us and, just take more notes and, maybe the answer may land on you differently now because you've been in the business for a year or 2 years and maybe it'll sound different. I'm not sure, but repetitive learning is really one of the ways to get to success anyway. So the first thing I want to ask is, Sharanda, one of the questions I saw on the page was about, the bus drivers. So what do you do when you go and talk to a company and find out all of the drivers that hold their CDL just drive yellow school buses? What do you do when? What do you do then?
Well, honestly, I don't prospect those companies. So I don't prospect them. So they're not new. So if I'm prospecting and I run across that, I don't prospect that company. But I do have a couple of schools. So, what I found in the school district is that, a lot of them just don't see the value in the CDL plan. One, because it costs more than the other plans that you're offering. So, but definitely I talk about for those that do hold a CDL, the importance of protecting that endorsement and what the law looks at them as, which are professional drivers, and that they are held to a higher standard with the endorsement. So if they go out and have an accident, whether they feel like, oh, I'm just using this to drive a bus, the law doesn't care about that. They still have to fall up under the rules and regulations of FMCSA. So, a few may get it, most don't. But I don't, definitely don't prospect none of my new prospects are passengers, carriers, or bus drivers. So that's my deal on that, Dunbar.
Okay, so that's good, and that does open up a little bit of a conversation on that. And I'm gonna get you, Allison, next. What it opens up is this. There's one thing for somebody to tell you that you shouldn't do something, that you can't do something, that they wouldn't do something, and a difference between you following suit when it comes to taking advice from somebody who may have a better understanding of how this all works. So this is what I mean. Sharanda just said she doesn't prospect bus companies. I don't either. I've done presentations for them before because it happens to be a circumstance where that's what happened. So I'm not going to say that I haven't done it. I have. I don't prospect bus companies either. I don't think it's a good idea to do it. You may hear this on this call and then go ask somebody else, because that's what most of us do, right? We hear something, then we go ask somebody else, and we go ask them. We ask enough people until we hear what we actually want to hear, not what somebody told us that may work, right? And anybody who's done that before, and it's okay, put a 1 in the chat, because I've done it before too. When I was learning out, I asked 10 people the same question because the answer that I wanted to hear wasn't what I heard, right? So when you go out and talk to companies and somebody says, hey, don't, and you say, well, I spoke to my upline, or I called corporate, or I spoke to my workout partner, or I spoke to somebody in my marketplace, and they say, oh no, you can talk to bus companies. Well, guess what, guys? You can. We're not telling you you can't. We are telling you that it's not a good idea, because we believe in low-hanging fruit. And as a sales trainer, forget about anything particular. Legal shield, insurance, I don't care what you're selling. One of the #1 rules in sales is go after the low-hanging fruit. Don't work extra hard for no reason. The plan that we offer, the biggest benefit is going to be for people who are having issues with FMCSA, with your safety, things of that nature. When is the last time that you all have seen a school bus pulled over? Just doesn't happen that much. So if the person that you're prospecting is not being pulled over and cited on a regular basis, it's probably not your best customer. Key word in here, guys, best. It's not that they're not a customer, it's not your best customer, right? So if I decided that I was going to open up a bakery and sell some sugar cookies that were fresh out the oven that you can put M&Ms in and chocolate chunks in and peanut butter chunks in, and I just had all this stuff on my right across my counter and said, look, you can add anything to these chocolate chip cookies when they come out the oven and just make them just as rich and sweet and unhealthy as you want. I could probably put that somewhere and sell it. It wouldn't be successful in a community full of vegans. Does that make sense? It wouldn't be successful in a community full of healthy people who didn't eat like that. So you have to pick your prospects carefully. School bus drivers are not in danger anywhere close to where a person driving a flatbed or an 18-wheeler or a hauler. Those are your target people to go after. So if you're saying, I want to go after school bus drivers, be prepared to get more no's. Get prepared to run into more red tape. We are trying to get you to go after the so many people who are having the most issues. So this is not about you saying, oh, I was a school bus driver before, so I'm used to talking to them. Guess what? Newsflash. This is not about you. So it doesn't matter that you used to be a school bus driver. What matters is you have a product that is meant to protect people who are in danger. And for the most part, school bus drivers aren't getting harassed. They're not being targeted. They're not being pulled over. And they're a little bit extra careful anyway, simply because they have a school bus full of kids. So don't go find this story tomorrow of a school bus driver being drunk that you found from 1987 that happened one time and say, well, look, this is what happened. Because again, guys, you're looking at the far and few between. For every story you can tell me of a bus driver having an issue, I can show you about 25 of a flatbed, hauler, or 18-wheeler being stopped. Now, if you like hearing more no's than you do yeses, then you go after whoever you want. We're just telling you, in our experience, going after a school bus driver is not the best use of your time, right? And I'm hoping that that's why you come to a call like this or a Zoom like this, so that you can figure out what is the easiest way, the most productive way, the most efficient way for me to use my time. And going after, I would say, and even for some, if you know how to do it, hot shots are good targets, like hot shots and flatbeds and 18-wheelers and haulers. Those are some of the best targets to go after. And I know Lamar talks a lot about going after hotshot drivers. I don't go after them myself. I don't know whether Sharanda does or not, but I know for me, I haven't gone after a lot of them, but I understand that it is a market of people who are getting bothered pretty frequently, and they could really use our membership. So that's why we're explaining that way. This is not you can't. Right? You're not gonna get in trouble. Nobody, right? The CDL police not gonna come get you because you went after the wrong person. But I'm telling you, you're gonna make less money. So if you want to make less money, then go after school bus drivers. But other than that, I'm just saying. Good. All right. So Allison,
He said disregard my question.
Oh, disregard the question. Okay, all right, I got you. Anybody else? Is there another hand up somewhere?
No. But I'll tap in with that. I don't, I haven't been on Facebook today, but for those that are on the call, just think about what our plan does and the trainings that Lamar has put out there. He's probably, him, AJ, and Alan Roman, they probably are the top. I know they're the top 3 producers in CDL, but Lamar and Alan, I'll talk on Lamar. Lamar trains us, and all us trainers train differently. But I will say, a lot of what I've learned came from Lamar and Dunbar, their approach. And the approach there is the low-hanging fruit. Our plan, it definitely protects CDL holders or commercial drivers. But what we know is that those individuals that have encountered violations in the past are our low-hanging fruit. So they're bad. We can talk more on that than meeting a guy who says to you, I've been driving for 10 years and all my inspections have been great. I haven't ever received a ticket with an inspection. I'm always careful. But we know that at any given time he gets behind that wheel, anything can happen. We know that. And we know that our plan would protect him and he would save more money if he had it before something happened than wait till something happened. We know that. But we also know when we're out making sales calls, we're looking for the yes quicker than the no. So our ideal client is the person who is having problems. We're problem solvers. Even though we're solving problems with the individual who doesn't have any problems right now, we know that it can happen at any given time. But again, the low-hanging fruit are the individuals that have problems. So that's why I would say, like Dunbar said, no, it's not wrong to talk to a bus driver, but you're looking to win. We all are. And there's so many other people out there hurting that's looking for you that don't even know that a service like this helps. Maybe you can save a business for going out of business because they got too many violations. Maybe it targeted a audit versus going to a bus company that none of the drivers see the value of what you're offering. Not that it's not valuable, it's just not valuable to them. So just remember what the selling points are here. We protect good, but it's too many bad out there for us to try to run behind those that may not see the value as quick. Just FYI with that. So Dunbar.
No, that's good. That's good. And I hope you guys all understand this. Please throw a 2 in the chat if what we saying makes sense. We're here to help. And when it comes to sales, guys, it's important to understand that, you have to be very strategic with sales. That's why I say sales is psychology, guys. Don't go after the wrong group of people and then wonder why you're hearing more no's, right? Because it's not going to make sense. It's not going to make sense to you that people aren't saying, because you're hearing on the legal shield side all of this positive stuff about what we do. And then you go out into the real world, guys, because when you're at a legal shield conference, when you're on a call like this, guys, it's not the real world. This is us talking about a membership that we all sell. We're going to say positive stuff. So this is not the real world. When you're on this Zoom, when you're in a legal shield call, when you go to the conference, the same way, guys, y'all about to get ready for the conference. You're going to go to that conference and you are not in the real world when you're in that conference. You in legal shield world, PPLSI, whatever you want to call it. And then you're going to go home to the people, the real world, the people who don't support you, the people who don't call you back, the people who drop the membership a month after they get it, the people who think it's a scam. You're going to get back into the world with those real people. And when you get back into the world with those real people, guess what? You're going to have to deal with what they have to put out. So that's why you have to understand sales and psychology and know who your audience is, and don't talk to the wrong people, or realize as soon as you can a prospect from a suspect. You have to know that when you go out there and talk to companies, right? All right, so let's do another one. So what do you do when, right, you call a company? Because we right now, particularly, most of us are calling because of this COVID environment, or post-COVID environment, I guess, whatever you want to call it. People are calling on companies and they're looking to go in and talk to somebody or close the deal. And when you call a company, we talked about last week about the person saying, we already have a consultant. So we dealt with that last week, right? The gatekeeper saying, we have a consultant already. What happens when you call and the person just is like, no, we're not. So what do you guys do? What can you say? You said I got stuff on my safety score. So what can y'all do about that? What happens when that comes up? Because we prepare to talk to somebody, and then we finally get somebody on the line, and what do they say? They ask us, okay, so what do you guys do about how can y'all fix our safety score? Which we can't, right? We can't fix what's already broken. And then we get hit with that, and guess what happens? It's psychology. So Sharanda has been trying to get somebody on the line for so long that when somebody finally gets on the line and says, what can you do to fix my score? She don't want to let that fish go now.
Right.
So now she turns this into, now she tries to rescue this situation. Oh, we can do things to, and then you start going into this spiel of dishonesty because we can't do that. So what do you do when that happens?
With me?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so wording is everything, right? So we have to listen, because like you said, Dunbar, a lot of times when we're making dials, because we make cold calls here. I mean, honestly, most everybody here is making a cold call, unless somebody referred you or whatever. The cold call becomes a warm contact quickly, but it's a cold call. And sometimes you can get frustrated, and then when you do get that person on the phone, it's like, oh my God, I got a person. So, but you have to remember to listen. And like he said, a lot of people do ask you, especially the gatekeeper, if, depending on, you get a lot of gatekeepers and owners too, because you got to remember too, a lot of people just don't know a service like this exists. And so therefore, they've had all these problems. Now here you go, calling saying you can help with their DOT violations and CSA scores. And the question is, how can you help? How can you fix our report? So we're taught, and the attorney's been on our trainings, and he's, we're taught that, they can't fix what, is already there that's paid for. So wording is everything. So my deal is, so if somebody say, how can you fix my report? I'm quick to say, well, if that came with a fine and you paid it, we can't go back. Now, what happens is, over time that will fall off, depending on whether or not that driver is still with you or not, the length of time that it may take. But if it came with a fine and it's been assessed, you paid the fine, we can't go back and fix that. Now, if that owner says, well, my driver paid for an attorney and they went to court. They went to court for him, and they told him that they won. They got it removed. So now I would say, well, if that was the case, then your driver can request documentation from the courts in which that handle that, and then it can get data queue off of the driver's record and then the company's record. But you need that documentation. And most people don't know what data queue is. So then we go into that of explaining about data queue. So that's how I handle that, Dunbar. And like I said, you know, a lot of it stops at the point of them not understanding data queue. But my first thing is, let's talk about what's on there and how it was handled, and go from there, depending on what they say, how it was handled.
Right. So you said something about language, which is important when you're doing your pitch in the first place, or whatever you say when you call. The idea of mentioning the fact that they may have violations, like, so for instance, something that I do when I call is I look at, right, like Lamar taught us, the first 6 months, because that's the worst case scenario for them. So I'm saying, hey, I see that you got four, maybe 5 violations in the last 6 months. I'm not talking to them about fixing those violations. I'm talking to them about letting them know that I'm aware that they're there, that they're the most serious ones. And then I'm going to approach it from who's assisting you with them, right? So I'm using that as a target. So if Sharanda was the person that I'm speaking to, and I say, well, Miss Sharanda, I took a look at your safety score and I saw that you guys got about 4 or 5 violations in the last 6 months. And it seems to be really affecting your safety score. So if you don't mind me asking, who's assisting you guys with those violations, and are they being data queued after you have somebody go to court and take care of them for you? Who's taking care of that for you all, right? That's my angle of me talking about those safety, because I can't fix them if they're already, like, if somebody has already pled guilty, paid them, whatever they've done. I don't want to get into that. So your language is really important. So if you call a company and you say, I see that you have violations and we want to see what we can do to help you, and that company owner or safety manager, whoever that person is that you're speaking with, says to you, oh, well, yeah, what can you do to help with those? Or they'll say, what can you do in this OOS? Something that we hear all the time. Something that we'll hear people say, well, how can you help with out of service, right? They'll ask a particular thing and then you're stuck. So now you're like, okay, I'm back to the drawing board. I finally got somebody on the phone, right? And then they ask me, what can I do about OOS? I don't know the answer to that. OOS is out of service, and then you'll know what to do. So I saw something pop up from Arjun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Arjun to unmute himself real quick, because I know he's got a big trucking company that he services. And congratulations to you for constantly being on the leaderboard too, brother. So if you're there, if you can unmute yourself real quick.
I answered his question for you. He jumped in there, Dunbar.
Oh, okay, got you. And what I was going to ask him was, I didn't even realize it was a question, Arjun, because it went by too fast, and I was looking at it.
No, he said something. Because what we don't want is people to get what Legal Shield does and don't do, and they don't correct that conditional.
Right.
They don't. So
Right.
we don't want people led down the wrong way, thinking when they see these conditional status that our plan doesn't do that. So, you know, we just want to make sure we keep the main thing, because it's a lot of people start to veer off, and we say these things and that's not what our plan does, and it confuses them, and it just, you know what I'm saying? So we got to be careful with that, because when they're in conditional, our plan doesn't get them out of condition. There's other things that do, but our plan doesn't. So before we go down that alley, let's make sure we tap right.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So when you're saying we don't do, what is it that we don't do, so that everybody's clear on that? Like,
we don't write. So for those companies that are in conditional status, they have somewhere along the way failed the audit, right? And so by failing that audit, that means that whether it was on-site or off-site, the safety scores were, it warranted that audit. They couldn't correct what was, bad within the audit, within the time that was allowed it. And so a correction action plan wasn't done. Like, we fix it. So they have to fix it and then write what they call a correction action plan, saying what they fixed and how they were going to move forward. That's nothing that we do at Legal Shield. So for those that don't produce that correction action plan or even go through the steps of correcting things, they have a certain amount of time, and if they don't do that in that certain amount of time, that status is dropped down to conditional or unsatisfactory. A lot of companies can go like out of business depending on how bad they are. So when we see conditional, they can have our plan and move forward with good readings, with good outcomes. Like if they get a new violation and they have our plan, we go help that. That does not bring them out of conditional. It's gonna, it has to be a habit that is over time that is good, and then DOT comes back in and does another audit. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yes.
that conditional will sit there, and they could have 10 good readings until DOT comes back in. They stay in conditional. So I just don't want.
So let me ask you a question. When a company is dealing with that kind of stuff, because it's nothing that we deal like, right? So we're going to talk about what we do here too, but we don't deal with that. So that's where, is that something that you come in and help with your company? Is that the kind of stuff?
It's yeah. So correction action plans are like, just imagine a business plan step by step. Like, so just say the person went out of business, not went out of business. They were having a lot of, okay, I had one. I had a guy I was prospecting, and his drivers were, they were running their ELDs. They were running over the hours of service. So they were getting pulled over a lot. And that's what they were getting written up for, because they were running over their hours of service. So they had a lot of violations out there, but they had nothing in place. So they just kept doing things, getting written up with violations that triggered an audit. So they come in to do the audit to find out that, okay, yeah, they're not. So when companies get written up for these violations, in the driver's file, they have to put documentation. So say that driver got pulled over and they were over the 14 hours of duty status. Well, the company has to do some type of correction action, whether or not if it's training, maybe it's their first offense. And they just, they just talk about how to understand the hours. Maybe the second offense, they write them up, put it in the file. Maybe third offense, they fine them, or maybe they lose some days. They have to put all that in the file. Well, if the company DOT comes in and audit them and see that, oh, this driver got pulled over for these violations, what did you do, Mr. Dunbar? And you say nothing. That's bad, right? So you get deemed, you get fined. And so they say, okay, Mr. Dunbar, you have to implement some type of training program to make this right for your drivers. And we need to see documentation. We need to hear how you're going to do that. So you may say, well, I'm going to consult with a consultant who's going to come in here and do trainings for us every month. And we're going to do this, and we're going to document that. But when they come in for those hours of service or all the violations that's been written up, they find out you don't have your drivers in a drug program. So now that's another problem. So now you have to write this summary of all the things that were wrong and what you have done to correct or going to do going forward. And you have to continue to do that. And then that eventually they'll come back to do a review from this correction action plan, and make sure you're doing what you say you did. Well, and it's not going to be in the next 6 weeks. It may take months, a year. But, that has to be done. If not, you'll stay in conditional. Or if they come back and you haven't really cleaned it up or did what you said you was going to do, you could go out of business. So that's how that works.
Okay. So for everybody listening, this is what happens when you do CDLP for so long. You know this kind of stuff that she's talking about. And you see Arjun shaking his head because he got these big companies. He probably dealing with this stuff. Let me explain this to you guys in a different way. Everything that because I know exactly what Sharanda is talking about. And for some of y'all, like, what in the world did she just say? All Sharanda just told you was, if the people next door call children and family and tell them Your kids are always screaming, they always hollering, right? They dirty, they don't smell good, they're not eating. Guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna get investigated, right? And then they're gonna say, okay, we came to your house, we saw some things we didn't like, so we're gonna give you a plan. Might be 18 months. In 18 months, we're gonna be coming back and checking. You need to get these things in order. They're not gonna take your kids right away. They're gonna say, you need to get these things in order. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about because y'all may have worked in that field, case management, all of that kind of stuff. They're gonna give you a list of things that you need to do before they take away your right to be a parent to those children or that child. They're gonna keep coming back. Now, if in the process of you going through this 18 months and getting this stuff straight, the school reports you for doing something else, and somebody else reports you for doing something else, that is compiling on top of what is already known by children and family. You going to hire an attorney at that point is not going to help you because the conditions that you have to meet by DCF, none of that can be dealt with an attorney. They've looked at certain things and said, based on, our social, whatever law and rule that they put together in children and family, your kids have to be kept in a certain condition, whatever rules and regulations comes to you being an adequate parent, right? You have to follow those. You can get an attorney if you want to, but at the end of the day, the attorney is just going to tell you what the paperwork already tells you. If you don't do this stuff in this amount of time, they can take your children. So getting a membership from us or hiring an attorney is not going to save you. What's going to save you is you meeting those requirements and getting DCF off your back because you've done the things they say do in the next 18 months. So what Sharanda is saying, and what our June was maybe chiming in as well to talk about, is that we're not going to help that trucking company with that stuff. The same way you have to get a caseworker to help you meet those qualifications, they have to have a consultant to help them meet those qualifications. That's not something that we're dealing with. We are dealing with that company's drivers getting citations and violations of non-moving and moving violations, and we are sending an attorney to court so that they can get an adequate judgment from a judge that can be data queued by whoever does data queue in the company. Don't take it any further than that, because we can't do anything else to help that company, so to speak. Like, does that sound pretty much right, Sharanda?
Right.
So I just want you guys to understand that, like, don't go and making promises. Don't talk about things that's already broken that you're gonna fix, because you're not fixing anything that's already broken, right? If somebody paid for a citation violation, they paid the fine, they admitted guilt, that's a wrap. They can't go to court and fight it now. That's over. We are looking at saying the reason why you are in this position is because you did not have us in the first place. So what we're saying is, from this point on, if you start working with us, we can make sure that when you get a hit, it can be looked at. When you get a hit, it can be looked at, not it pile up and then now you're in trouble and now you want us to come get you out of trouble. And sometimes the companies don't even understand the rules and regulations that Sharanda is talking about, that you may hear Arjun talk about, that you hear Lamar talk about. Because I just had a guy just the other day, I'm texting back and forth. He's got a CDL. He says, look, I'm about to lose my job. I need some help. I got a ticket. He said, I paid the ticket and now they're telling me that it's on my record and then I can't keep working for him with this on my record. Can I go to court and fight it? I said, no, you can't go to court and fight it. You fought it. You already admitted guilt. You dealt with the ticket already. We can't go back and open that up. You already said you did it. Oh, well, the officer told me to just pay the fine. And then my safety manager told me that I needed to go ahead and go to court and take care of everything. But now the owner is coming back and telling me that because that's on my record, I can't work there no more. It's nothing y'all can do. No. My safety manager said that y'all can open the case back up. Your safety manager don't know what he's talking about. I don't know who he knows that can open it back up, but it ain't us. So you have to call somebody else because we can't do that, right? So they will try to tell you to do anything to save their soul after it happened. And it's like, we cannot do anything after it has already happened. And you guys have to be clear on that. Moving forward, we can help them. We cannot fix what's there. We're just identifying what's there, if that makes sense. So that's where that's at. Now, Arjun, did you have something you wanted to mention? I'm so sorry, brother.
Yeah, actually, yes, I did. Actually, I typed too fast. Actually, if Sharanda is right, we don't do anything. That's what I meant. They usually, when you make that phone call, it's usually they're in conditional and they need help, and they'll be like, "Oh, can you do this?" And sometimes people say yes and they get in trouble. So don't do that, right? Know what you're selling. But for me, I have this company for 2 years, and the reason why they had me because the ticket issues and inspections. Those are the two things that they needed to have control. And so now we have a point where, like you said, Mr. Dunbar, that, we're there from that point onwards, right? So now after 2 years, their points have reduced significantly because they used our program appropriately. So they know exactly what our program does and don't do. So they understand that, so that's how I wanted to say.
No, that's great, and I appreciate that. And again, congratulations for all the success. Because for those that have been on this call for more than maybe a year and a half, 2 years, y'all remember when our June was like raising his hand and saying, "Hey, I got this company. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get in this company. I need some help." And now he's in that company, and it's like they've turned him into an expert because he dealt with, he's dealt with these drivers going through stuff, and he's learned so much about the industry. So, and to me, I love seeing that because it's the same way with Sharanda. Like just knowing that Sharanda has a logistics company, and there was a point in this business a few years back when she was like, "I think I want to do CDL," and now she's actually doing logistics. You know what I mean? So it's like this industry will turn you into an expert because it's so niche. And once you realize what we can do, that there's a huge need for it. There's a huge need for it, but we just can't go in the wrong way because then we'll hurt ourselves and we hurt the product at the same time. So definitely thank you for your statements on that.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say to the new people who are new in CDL, learn. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of resources out there online, whether it's YouTube, magazines. Learn about the industry, the trucking industry. Learn about that because when you have a conversation with the safety manager, they are gauging you, right? They are gauging you to see how much you know about trucking, or are you just winging it? Don't wing it because they're going to catch you. They're going to catch you quick. And then the trucking industry is a close-knit industry. So they know people, and the only thing they'll remember is Legal Shield. So if you mess up, it's harder for the next person to go into that company because they heard Legal Shield and it didn't work for them. So just be careful.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, brand is important. I got you. Allison, you got your hand raised?
Yes, I got a, this question has to do with when the company gets their violations and we know a certain amount of time that the driver's violation fall off and the company fall off. But when they've been audited and they in this status of condition, that's on the back burner until they correct those problems. Is that true?
I didn't understand the question. I didn't understand the question.
Okay, you have a violation where that is supposed to fall off in a year. And what I'm saying is if is it when they're in the status of condition that affect that falling off until they make those corrections?
No, you have to know that it's not going to fall off at the year to the date. A lot of people look and think the year to the date that violation is going to fall off. So if it's 2 years or 3 years, it doesn't necessarily fall off to that date.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it may take a couple of months. You can go in there and you say, wow, that's been over, 2 years and the driver's no longer with them, but it still may be showing there. So it doesn't fall off to the date. The exact time does it fall off? I can't tell you, but I do know it doesn't fall off to the date. Now, whether the CSA scores, because we have to realize that what we see as the public eye is not CSA scores. We're just seeing the out of service numbers. And that's calculated by, it's a formula that they calculated by, and We're just seeing out of service numbers. We're not seeing CSA points. So we have to understand that. But the company, if they go in their portal, can see their CSA points. But so you may do the calculation and realize, oh, it's been over 2 years and it's still here. It's gonna fall off, but definitely it's not always to the date. Okay.
I have another question, but I gotta get the wording right.
Go ahead, go for it.
And just so you know, and Sharanda, if you can before, and I'm John, I'm gonna go out to you next. And good to see you, brother. I made you a co-host Sue back there somewhere. Sharanda, so just to be clear, if a person has this violation, so does I'm in condition, like I'm being audited at this point in time. Does that hold anything up, or do those violations fall off at the time that they were supposed to fall off anyway? Do they stay any longer because I'm in trouble for other stuff?
I mean, I don't know that, but what I do know is that it doesn't fall off to that date. And
Gotcha.
I wouldn't see that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that, meaning it holds it up. Like if you see it and nothing's gonna fall off till they get out of that audit. I wouldn't co-sign on that. I wouldn't believe that. But
and I've never heard that. I've never heard. I always hear 2 years for the company, 3 years for the driver, and like you said, it's not even.
It's not to the date though. I mean, you can pull a company and it's 2 years and it's still there. You know, but you know, you go back and I have a company, one of the first companies you guys remember. I told you, you know, I had this guy with the brother that was doing wrong, and he had the good brother and the bad brother. The bad brother did the drug. You know, it's one of the first stories I told. And they hired this person, this consultant, and they told them, oh, we're gonna help get these off your record. But what they did was they waited on time, but it didn't fall off to the year. Didn't fall off to that day. It was months later. And you see that all the time. If you're following companies, you'll see that some of that stuff is way past the 2 or 3 years. So, but I wouldn't think that audit will hold that up. I'm not, you know, I can't co-sign on that.
Got you. So John, brother, what's happening?
Hey, I'm glad I made it. I was a little bit late today, but I had a PC Qualified Pro today, so.
That's what I'm talking about, brother.
Okay. Anyway, I want to follow with our John and what he's talking about with his company. And and when you get a relationship with these companies, it's fun to actually go back into them and ask them, you know, what's troubling you, you know, right now, because a lot of times we get to hear from, you know, our members, you know, what's happening a little bit ahead of time, so we can use that information to go to other companies and share that information. So that's something that you have to look forward to, is when you create a relationship with these companies, you go back in and just, you know, you can just walk in and just have a little sit down and chat with them and say, you know, what's happening here for trucking life now, and you know, let's see how we can address it, and then share that information with other companies you go to. Get back to Robert.
Sorry about that. I was trying to unmute. No, that's good. And I appreciate you adding to that. It looks like I saw another hand. Allison, is your hand back up, or is that up from the first time?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, this is my question. Basically, kind of to Sharanda, I think. When the company, say for instance, they had their audit and then they, you know, have their time that they're supposed to make these corrections. If they make the corrections way ahead of time, can they contact the DOT and ask them to come in, or just submit their documentation that they done the corrections? And
they have a time period to do the corrections, but if they finish beforehand, absolutely, they can send them in.
Okay.
Before the deadline. I mean, absolutely, earlier is better, but
yeah.
And then what happens next is up to DOT.
Yeah. Okay.
So what you doing over there, Allison? You doing data Q or something over there? What you doing something else over there? What you got happening?
Hey, I want to be ready when I had a conversation. That's all.
You all in people all this, you all in their business. I'm just messing with you. All right, guys. So it's 9:30. I'm gonna reach out to the other trainers real quick to see if they have anything else they want to add before we close out. So John or Sharanda, do you guys have anything else you guys want to add to this before we close out this evening?
Just looking forward to seeing people in Oklahoma City. I am packed up, ready to go. We're going to hit the road tomorrow and try and record some DOT numbers along the way, and just just have a fun time and celebrating 50 years of Legal Shield.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Sharanda?
Likewise, look forward to seeing you guys. Definitely, come up and speak with, me and Dunbar. Dunbar will be there too. But definitely, we'll be at the Omni. So definitely want to see you guys there. Did kick it with a few of you guys in Phoenix, and so definitely let's celebrate. It's my birthday month. But I will say here on this platform, guys, a lot of things, we talk about a lot of things, but just really let's stay, we want to stay focused on the main thing. You need to know, and as you grow and realize what we do with our services, and, you'll eventually start to learn other things, but master our services first and how we help the market, and it'll lead to great things. But let's keep the main thing. And that's how, what our services can do for the market. Knowing other things is great, but you can find yourself going down a rabbit hole if you're not well versed. And remember, we've always talked about the moment that individual thinks that they, that you really don't know what you know, and they have the upper hand on you, they lose the trust in you helping them. So just remember that, okay? Less is best, really it is. And that's when you know our product and what we do for the market. So, and I tell you, I think all of us can say that, John, Robert, even, AJ, when we kept the main thing, which is our product. Of course, you're going to learn other stuff, and you need to be knowledgeable to have a conversation, but you don't have to know all this stuff that goes around. This is just what we do here at Legal Shield that counts. So just focus on that, and other stuff will come, just build the foundation first. Over to you.
All right. No, that's good stuff. So if you eat lunch somewhere at the convention, or you just happen to be in the hallway and you see someone go by and you're like, did I just see something? That might be me. That might be me. Because I try to stay out the crowd. So I might be standing behind the podium. I may be behind a pillar, on the side of a pillar, in a corner somewhere. You might see me in the elevator, but I try to stay out the crowd. But I will be there, without a doubt. So as I see you guys, like I saw you guys in Phoenix, I'll stop, I'll talk. Definitely, I look forward to seeing the Legal Shield family. It's been 13 years, so I definitely love seeing you guys. So I'm looking forward to the conference as well. So that's it, guys. We're gonna be close. So we got conference coming up. We've got Blitz tomorrow still. Is it still Blitz tomorrow or no Blitz?
I'm sure they Blitz. I'm not.
I didn't see nothing or not see nothing. I'm just, I just know conventions coming. So sometimes they'll change stuff up. So I believe it's still a Blitz tomorrow. So make sure you get your, get your calls in, get your numbers in, keep doing your prospecting and building your business, guys. So what Sharanda said, I'm with too, 100%. Like the stuff that Sharanda's learned, she kind of learned organically, and then she took it up a notch. Same thing with AJ. He learned it in the field because he was doing the business. And you can't work with these companies and not learn inside stuff. But some of you all are trying to learn inside stuff before you get inside. And they didn't learn that, and that's how they got in. They learned it once they got in with the regular everyday stuff. That's the difference. They learned that once they got in with the main thing. The main thing got them in, and then they learned the other stuff. So keep that in mind. You don't have to know all of that stuff before you go in. All you need to know is that we're going to fight their violations. And you don't even have to know what the attorney is doing in the courtroom. You don't have to be in the courtroom. All you need to do is have them send that ticket or that violation moving and non-moving to that attorney, and let that attorney deal with it. And as you build a relationship with that company, you'll learn some inside stuff. So don't let their knowledge fool you into believing that they knew all of that and that's how they got where they're at, because it's not. They just learned it afterwards. So appreciate you guys again. Look forward to seeing you guys at the conference. Look forward to seeing you guys next Monday. For those that can't make it on the call next Monday because you're still traveling, don't worry about it. We're going to record it. It'll be available for you guys to all take a look at it. So everybody have a fantastic evening. Please travel safely. Please travel safely. If it means getting there late, travel safely, right? No information is worth your life. So please travel safely. And we look forward to seeing you guys all next weekend at the conference.
Safe travels. See you in OKC.
Safe journey. Blessings to all.
Yes.
Everyone, As Joshua, maybe I'll see you again.
Yeah, okay, see.
Okay, we'll see you. Safe travel, guys.
Good call. Good call. Thank you so
Safe
much.
travels.
Yeah. Have a blessed week, everybody.
Goodbye, Joshi.
Yes, yes. That's all.
See you in OKC.
Okay.
Yeah.
OKC.
Safe journey. Blessings to all.
Yes.
Awesome.
Looking good, Sharanda. I really like that look today.
She got
Yeah,
that
Miss
gear on.
Queen. You go ahead, darling. I'll talk to you later. Sister Flo,
You
over and out.
will. Thank you for being on.
Yo, thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this splendid job. I'm learning so much. Very much appreciated. I'm gonna make y'all proud of me. Watch.
We already proud of you. We proud of you for plugging in. That's the first step, plugging in. You got to be plugged in. So we're proud of you for being here every week. That's huge. Whenever you can commit yourself to anything, it's huge.